Hi there! In this video I'm going to show you how to make an amigurumi ball and then how to turn it into this fun little bat. This project has a lot of ways that you can customize it, but the very base of the project is just this crochet ball. So just to make this simple ball, all you will need is size 4 yarn, scissors, a stitch marker, an E or 3.5mm hook, possibly a 4mm hook or whatever you feel comfortable using, a tapestry needle, and polyfill. If you would like to add the extras, I suggest using the template and felt for adding the ears and the wings. You can also add some black puff paint onto the wings to add the bone lines, and you'll need an adhesive to glue the ears and the wings on unless you choose to sew them. I've used E6000, you can use hot glue or fabric glue also. Another way to customize it is to add plastic eyes. I use 12mm safety eyes, and I also add the white and the black around the eyes using size 10 crochet thread. You can also use embroidery floss for this. Since I want my wings to have the painted lines on them, I am first going to cut out my wings and then add the paint and let them sit to the side to dry while I make my ball. So when we're cutting out the felt, we want to be sure that we have mirroring pieces. We don't want to cut out 2 left wings or 2 right wings. So if your felt has a right side and a wrong side like mine does, I'm using a sparkle felt, I will want to make sure that my template is on the proper side, so when I cut this out, it will be opposite of the wing I've already got cut out. Same with the ears. I want one for both sides. Now that my wings are off to dry, we can begin making the ball. Throughout this pattern, you're going to learn several new techniques specific to amigurumi, which is making little stuffed animals. I highly suggest that you read over the materials within the pattern, the written pattern itself, for a deeper understanding. So the first technique we're going to learn is the magic circle. This can be tricky for a lot of people, but if you've learned how I do my slip knots, it's very similar. So I'm going to start with the tail like I do with the slip knot, laying across the palm of my hand. I'm going to wrap my finger and make that X again. Hold the X, hold the working yarn, insert the hook, pull up a loop, and instead of pulling the finger out right here, I'm going to chain 1. And now I'm going to hold that and remove my finger, get my tension, and now we are going to be working into this hole, this loop that we have down here. We're going to work over both these strands of yarn. So we have a chain 1 right now. So we're going to insert, and now we're going to make single crochets. However, in amigurumi, we do a little bit different called an X stitch. Instead of having the yarn over the top of our hook, we want the yarn to be under our hook when we pull it through the stitch. So now we have 2 loops on the hook, and now we can yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on the hook, and that's our first single crochet. So let's do that again. We're going to make a total of 6 single crochet stitches into our magic circle. So that's 1. So we insert into that open circle again. We're going to yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Watch how I am moving my fingers and keeping hold of this circle the entire time that I'm working into it. So we have 2 single crochet stitches right now. We're going to insert into the circle, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And now we have 3. We need to add 3 more. So insert into the circle, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Insert into the circle, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And our last one, insert into the circle, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we should have 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they are in this open hole. To close our magic circle, all we're going to do is hold our tail, and then I'll hold this last stitch loosely just so it can slide, and we pull it tight. And now you can see that it's nice and closed. So this is round 1 finished. What we're looking at here is the outside, and the tail will be on the inside of the work. Now we can continue to round 2. The third thing you'll be learning through this pattern is working in continuous rounds. So a lot of crochet patterns will have a slip stitch to this first stitch and then chain to start a new round. In most amigurumi patterns, you won't slip stitch and chain. You will just start in that first stitch, making a single crochet. So let's do that. We're going to work into this first stitch. So insert, we're going to yarn under again, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And that is our first stitch of the round. So we are going to mark it so that we can keep track of how many stitches we're putting in each round. The fourth thing you're going to learn in this pattern is how to increase or make 2 stitches into 1 stitch to make our circle grow larger. So I have put 1 stitch into this first stitch of round 1. So this is the first stitch of round 2. We are going to go into that same stitch and make another single crochet. So insert in the same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And now we have 2 stitches in the same stitch from round 1, and that is an increase. So round 2, the pattern says we are going to increase in each stitch around. So under each stitch of round 1, we are going to put 2 stitches. So let's go ahead and do that. Here's our next stitch. Insert, yarn under, pull up a loop. You see where that hole is. Yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. Now we're going to insert in the same stitch to make another single crochet. So you can just follow that down and insert right at the bottom of that. Yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we have 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4. Since we're putting 2 stitches in each stitch around, we are doubling the stitch count. So we'll need 12 stitches total. Here's our next stitch. We are going to increase again. That's 2 stitches in 1. So insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and follow that stitch back down, go in the same hole, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that's another increase. So let's do an increase in this next stitch. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. In that same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So you can see how the increases kind of have a V shape that point to the stitch where they're worked into. So the next stitch, another increase, insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, follow that stitch back down, go in that same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Here's our last stitch of the round. We're going to insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, follow that stitch back down, go in the same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And that's the last stitch of the round. And we will always count how many stitches we have so we make sure our pattern is right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's what our pattern says. So that's the end of round 2. This is the outside of our animal, and then this will be the inside. Now we're ready to move on to round 3. Round 3 says to single crochet in the next stitch and then increase in the next stitch and repeat that pattern 6 times for a total stitch count of 18. So we're working in continuous rounds, so we just work straight into that first stitch, insert, and we're going to make 1 single crochet. Then we will move our stitch marker to that first stitch. The rest of the repeat is an increase, and then we'll repeat that. So we're going to go into the next stitch and make an increase. Insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and follow that back down and make an increase. So another stitch in that same place, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So that's the first part of our repeat. 1 single crochet, increase. So now we are going to do 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet, increase, all the way around. So insert in the next, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That's 1 single crochet. And now we're going to make an increase. Insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, follow the stitch back down, go in the same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we have 2 repeats. Single increase, single increase. So let's continue to do that all the way around. The next one is a single. So yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And then an increase, insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Follow that stitch back down in the same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we do another repeat. Insert the next stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and an increase in the next stitch. Insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, follow that stitch back down, go in the same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And we do a repeat again, so a single, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. The next stitch is an increase, yarn over, yarn under, sorry, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then we're making an increase, so we follow that stitch back down into the same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And we have 2 stitches left, so we have one more repeat. Insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and our last increase, insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and we need one more in that same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So that is round 3 complete, and we can count our stitches now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And that's what we need, so that's perfect. So this is the outside of our ball for round 3, and that's the inside of our ball with the tail, and you can see the back bars will be on the inside. That's how you can tell if you have yours switched and this is outside, you'll see those bars, and you just need to flip it around so we don't see those bars. We are now ready for round 4. Round 4 says to continue making the circle larger with 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches and an increase in the next stitch, and we repeat that 6 times for a total stitch count of 24. So our repeat will be single crochet, increase, single, single, 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 increase. So let's go ahead and make round 4. Insert in that first stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Move our stitch marker to that first stitch. Now our repeat is single, single, increase, so we're going to do 1 more single crochet, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then an increase. So insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, follow that stitch down to work into the same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that's our first increase for round 4. So single, single, increase. We'll do that same repeat. Insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, that's 1 single, insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, that's 2 singles, and now we need an increase. So insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, follow that stitch down and go in the same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So now we have 2 increases here. We'll continue around, single, single, increase. Again, we'll do our repeat, single, insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, single, insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and increase. Insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. In the same stitch, insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Another repeat, single, single, increase. And one last repeat, insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, insert, next, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then an increase in the next. Insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and in the same stitch, insert, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And that is the end of round 4. We can count our stitches now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Now let's work round 5 to make the circle larger one more time. So round 5 says we are going to make 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches and an increase in the next. So our repeat will be single, 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 increase, single, 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 increase, single, 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 increase, or you might count it in your head as 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase. So let's work round 5. We'll insert in the first stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That's our first stitch, so we'll move our marker and continue our repeat. So we have 1, we need 2, and 3, and then we can increase. So that's our first repeat. 1, 2, 3, increase. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, increase. So we can see this last increase. So 1, 2, 3, increase. Another time. 1, 2, 3, and then increase. 1, 2. So that's 3 repeats. If you learn to recognize what the increases look like and you lose track of your count, You can find the nearest increase and then count 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase to make sure you're on track. So another repeat. 1, 2, 3, and increase. Another repeat here. 1, 2, 3, increase. And then our last repeat. 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. That is round 5, and now we're ready to count our stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Perfect. If you don't have the right count, it's okay to frog this work. To frog your work, all you do is take your hook out and then pull the working yarn until you're back to the point where you can work again. Then you just reinsert your hook and continue. So now we're ready to work round 6, and the pattern says round 6 through 11 we'll have 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So each round should have only 30 stitches, and we'll do that for 6 rounds. This will make our sides stop increasing and it'll start coming down, kind of like a hat. So insert in that first stitch, and we'll make 1 stitch at each stitch around. Move our marker. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So that's the end of round 6. You can see now that we are getting a little shape to it. There's a little bowl forming, and this is the inside. What some people say is it's like you got a noodle inside your bowl. So you want to keep that tail on the inside. Don't let it get flipped out to be the outside of your work. Since we were counting while we were working the round, we don't need to go round and count again. We can continue on to round 7. Now we're ready to work round 7. So insert in that first stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And we will do that in each stitch around. But first, let's move our stitch marker to that first stitch so we can count our stitches around. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So again, we don't have to count our stitches since we counted them when we were making them. But that is the end of round 7, and we can really see that bowl starting to take shape now. So let's move on to round 8. Again, 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So insert in that first stitch, move our stitch marker, and that's our first stitch of round 8. So we can continue counting around like I have been doing. Sometimes when I have several rounds that are all just 1 single crochet in each stitch, I can lose track of my rounds. So on top of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll say the round number first. So this would be 8, 1, and then I'll say 8, 2, 8, 3, 8, 4, 8, 5. So I know that I'm on round 8, stitch number 5. 8, 6, 8, 7, 8, 8, 8, 9, 8, 10, 8, 11, 8, 12, 8, 13, 8, 14, 8, 15, 8, 16, 8, 17, 8, 18, 8, 19, 8, 20, 8, 21, 8, 22, 8, 23, 8, 24, 8, 25, 8, 26, 8, 27, 8, 28, 8, 29, and 8, 30. And again, we just counted, so we don't have to go back and count them. But look at our bowl now. It's really taking shape. So that's round 8. Let's move on to round 9. Again, 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So insert in that first stitch, and then move our marker. And then we'll continue to count around. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. And that's round 9. Let's move on to round 10. Again, 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So insert in that first stitch, move our stitch marker, and then single crochet around. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So that's round 10. We got quite a bowl going on here. You can tuck your noodle back in there so it stays out of the way. And we can move on to round 11. It's our last round that has 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So insert in that first stitch, and then we'll move our marker. And make 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So that's our last stitch of round 11. And we've got a decent sized ball here. Hopefully you were able to get a nice groove going with your stitches and feeling comfortable with making these X-style single crochet. Now that we have so many rounds worked up, we can kind of see how they make X's and how they stack up really nicely when with consistent tension. So here I've got one that I made using just a standard single crochet, and you can see how these X stitches look a lot cleaner and they're a lot tighter. This ball is quite a bit bigger than my X stitch ball, and these standard single crochets make that V shape, while these X stitches make an X shape. So now we can move on to round 12. After becoming comfortable with these single crochets, we're going to learn a new technique called an invisible decrease. So the pattern for round 12 says to single crochet in the next 3 stitches and then invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches, and we'll repeat that 6 times for a total count of 24. So when we're decreasing, we're taking stitches away, and our ending stitch count will be lower than what we started with. So we're starting with 30, we're doing a repeat 6 times, so 30 minus 6 is 24. So let's go ahead and work round 12. First we're going to single crochet in that first stitch and move our marker. Oops, I hit my friend over here. So our repeat is going to be single, 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 decrease. Single, 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 decrease. So let's do our first 3 single crochets, and then I'll show you how to make an invisible decrease. So there's 1, 2, 3. Now we're ready to make our invisible decrease. So a standard decrease would be worked all the way through the stitch, pull up a loop, and then work all the way through the next stitch and pull up a loop, and then pull through all 3 loops. That's a standard decrease, and you can see it's pretty bulky, and you can even see a gap right there. So what we'd use in Amigurumi is an invisible decrease. We're just going to use the front loop only of the next stitch, and we swivel around and pick up the front loop only of the second stitch. Now we yarn under and pull that loop through both of the front loops, and then yarn over and pull through both loops on the stitch, on the hook, sorry. So you can see how this stitch looks more similar to the other single crochets. So that's our first repeat, and let's do another one. So it's 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to invisible decrease. So we go in the front loop only of that next stitch, swivel forward, and go in the front loop only of the next stitch. Pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, and that's our second decrease. So let's do that again. 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3. Now an invisible decrease. Insert under the front loop only, swivel around, insert under the front loop only, yarn under, oops, I dropped it. Let me try that again. Insert under the front loop only, swivel around, insert under the front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops on the hook. Let's do it again. 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and now we can invisible decrease, insert front loop only, swivel around, insert front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. And again, 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then an invisible decrease. Front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. And here's our last one. 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. So that is round 12. And you can see it's pulling our sides in just a little bit. So let's go ahead and count our stitches so we know we didn't make any mistakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Perfect. Now we can move on to round 13. For round 13, we are going to continue to close the ball. Our pattern says to place 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, an invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches, and repeat that 6 times around for a total of 18. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to insert in that first stitch and make a single crochet, move our marker, so that's 1, and our repeat is going to be 1, 2, invisible decrease, 1, 2, invisible decrease. So let's go ahead and do that around. So we have 1, 2, invisible decrease, front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. Got my hair. So that's our first repeat. Single decrease. So let's do that again. 1, 2, invisible decrease, front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. And we'll repeat that again. 1, 2, invisible decrease, front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. To repeat it again. 1, 2, invisible decrease is front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. Repeat again. 1, 2, invisible decrease, it's front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. And our last repeat, 1, 2, an invisible decrease, front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. So that is round 13 complete. We can see it taking shape even better now. So let's go ahead and count our stitches. We want to have 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Perfect. So now if you're putting a face on, we can add that face. If you are not, you can skip ahead to where we finish closing up the ball. Now we're ready to add the plastic safety eyes, or you can skip to round 14 and make a solid ball and then add embroidered eyes after you're done. The link for the embroidered eye tutorial is in the description. The first part to adding the face is finding round 9. So I'm going to show you how to count rounds after we've made them. What I do is I consider this like the body of the stitch, and then what's happened is when we make the next round, we're encompassing the top of the stitch. So here we can see on round 13, this would be the body, and this would be the top of the stitch. So each of the dips, I guess, is actually the top of the stitch from the round below it. So I count, when I'm counting rounds, I count the dips. So that's round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And when I put eyes in, I usually try to keep it fairly opposite the stitch marker. So that's round 9. I'm going to go ahead and pop one eye right in that hole between the stitches. That's why I count the lines between the bodies of the stitches, because we're working in these holes, in the space between the stitches. So I'm just gonna squeeze that guy in there, and then we're going to count 5 empty holes to the next eye. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the next eye is going to go in this number 6 here. So there are my eyes. And these are the backs for the safety eyes. Oops. And they're domed. The domed side is going to be away from your material, and this larger end is going to press up against the back of the eyeball. You do not put them on with the dome facing your work. You want the larger end against the fabric so that it keeps that eye secure. Though I will go ahead and say they're called safety eyes, but do not give them to any children under 3. They are a definite choking hazard. They come out easier than you would think. But you want to squeeze them until they stop popping and they're nice and secure against the back side of the fabric. So that's our safety eyes, and next I will add the nose. I didn't say before, but this purple color is Hot Orchid from I Love This Yarn, and then I'm going to use this dark charcoal from Impeccable. So I thread my needle, and I'm going to start inside the head, and I'm going to come out round 8 where the bottom of the eyes rest. I want my nose to be centered between the eyes, so I'm only going to span these center 2 stitches. So pull it all the way through, leave a long enough bit to tie it when we're done. So I want it to be fairly centered, and I'm going to go into this stitch here. And then I'm just going to make 3 rounds like that to build up some bulk. You can kind of play with this if you want to add more, if you want to add less. You can make it an entirely different shape, Try to make a face that you would like for your little bat. Oops. So that's 2, and this will be number 3. And there's our little nose. And all we have to do is cut it and then tie a knot and poke the ends inside the head. Why did I do that? So I'm going to tie a knot at the back side of that nose so it stays in place. And just poke those ends inside there. And there's our little nose. I think it's really fun to customize these little faces. So you can see with this one, I added the white behind the eye and an eyelash along the top. And then with this one, I added some little eyebrows, and I think I'm going to add a mouth too. I kind of like a mouth. So this one, I'll show you how to do the other things too, but I'm going to show you how to add some little pink cheeks. So I'm going to bring my needle out just right under the eyeball, and then I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the nose. I'm just going to go over 1 or 2 stitches here to give it some pink cheeks. And we can cut that side. You can go another round or 2 if you like we did the nose, or you can stop at 1. So let's see if I can get it under this one. So I'm going right kind of centered under the eye. And then I go over 1 or 2 stitches. Try to make it even on both sides. So some little rosy cheeks there, and we'll knot those and secure them inside also. So to add a mouth, I like to use size 10 crochet thread, or you can use embroidery floss and a smaller needle. And I go about centered under that left eye, or I guess the bat's right eye. Come out, leave a long enough tail so we can secure it. And what I'm going to do is go down 1 row and then over 1, 2 stitches. And see how for the mouth, I come out in the middle of the X, just under the X where there's a piece of yarn there, not in a hole. So I'm going to go over 2, 1, 2, insert it in there, going through the fibers of the yarn. Pull it out, and now it has a little smirk. To secure it in a smirky manner, we can sew the middle of the mouth in place. If your needle is sharp enough, I'm playing peekaboo here. If your needle is sharp enough, you can go right through the fibers of the mouth Get it where you want it, so it's in a little smirk. And then I'm going to go through the fibers just a little ways away. And then pull it inside the head. And we can secure those ends inside the head also. So another fun way to customize these could be to add eyelashes on the sides. So we just get as close to the eye as we can and come out. Then we can go 1 or 2 stitches to the side and then 1 stitch up and reinsert in that same stitch where we first started. And that makes the little eyelashes too. I think that's what I'm going to go with for this one, but I will show you how to do these whites of the eyes. So I think I'm going to go with eyelashes like this for this bat, but I'm going to show you how to do the whites like that bat. So to do those whites, we start either top or bottom, it doesn't matter, but about centered above the eye. Pull it through, again leaving a long enough tail to secure it. And you're just going to let the string rest along the outside edge of the eye and insert about the same place that you started, just on the bottom of the eye. And that's your white. You're going to secure that inside with a knot, and once it's tied, it'll be nice and tight and it will stay there. To do the eyelashes like this one, I'm going to insert about the middle of the top of the eye, pull it through, and then I'm going to go over and down. And that creates a little eyelash on top of the eye, and secure those inside the head. So I've got my face complete and all my ends are secure. I thought I would show you how I did the eyebrows here. I kind of line them up towards the outside edge of the eye, up around above the eye, and then down and over. The same on the other side. So now I am ready to work round 14, continuing to close the ball. Round 14 says to make 1 single crochet in the next stitch, invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches. Repeat this 6 times for a total of 12 stitches. So we are going to do a single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease, and repeat that all the way around. So let's do our first stitch. Single crochet, we'll move our marker, I'm going to move this guy out of the way. Now we're going to invisible decrease, front loop only, oops, front loop only, front loop only, pull up a loop through both front loops, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook, and that's our first repeat. So single crochet in the next stitch, invisible decrease over the next 2, front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. So again, single crochet, then invisible decrease, it's front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. Repeat again, single crochet, invisible decrease, front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. Repeat again, single crochet, invisible decrease, front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. Repeat again for the last time, single crochet, invisible decrease, front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. So that's the end of round 14. Let's go ahead and count our stitches. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. Now we are going to stuff it. Now we're ready to stuff it. So stuffing amigurumi is actually very important. We take a little bit and poke it in there. Depending how tight your stitches are, you probably could have done this the last round. So what I like to do is kind of push it to the outside walls, making a little hole in the center. And then I'm going to take a little more and I'm going to do the same thing. Just kind of make sure that the outside walls get an even amount of stuffing and there's not any lumps and bumps. So we'll keep doing that until we feel like it's stuffed as much as we want it to be stuffed. Now if your stitches are loose, you might see stuffing poking through. That's okay. Maybe next time your stitches will be a little tighter. So I'm just poking it down into that center space now. I have the walls pretty filled out. So you want the stuffing to help shape your toy, not to just take over and make it shaped differently than what it's supposed to be. So as you're stuffing, you can kind of shape your toy and see where it might need a little more stuffing, or possibly where there's too much stuffing. If it's making it look something other than a ball, we don't need that. Okay, I think I'm okay for now. I might add some more before I close it all the way up. Now I'm ready for round 15, and this is our last round. Round 15 says to invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches and repeat this 6 times. So we're just going to invisible decrease 6 times and we'll be done. So working an invisible decrease on the first stitch can be difficult, so I've already moved my marker and I'm going to make that first invisible decrease. Under the front loop, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. Now we can mark that as our first stitch and continue to invisible decrease around. So that was 1. Now 2 is front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. Front loop only, front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. Front loop only, front loop only. You can see I'm kind of doing it by feel with my finger. Yarn under, pull through both loops on the hook. Sorry, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. Decrease again, yarn or front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. And now we have 2 stitches left. Yarn, or sorry, front loop only, yarn under, pull through both front loops, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. And now that's the end of our last round. So I'm going to cut 6 to 8 inches or so I can sew it closed and then pull it through that last stitch. And I can take my marker out and I see a gap here just at the top where it should make the dome. So I'm going to add a little bit more stuffing. And this is where a stuffing stick comes in handy. If you've got a pencil or a pen, that will work too. This is actually a chopstick. So if you got a chopstick, you have the right tools. Just use whatever you can find to poke that in there. My fingers are too big for this little hole. Again, kind of fluff it around, see if you like the firmness. I actually like mine quite firm because over time the stuffing will settle and it'll become squishier. Okay, so I like how that's stuffed. Now I'm going to thread my needle and sew this hole closed. To sew the hole closed, what we're going to do is whip stitch around just the front loops only. So the whip stitch is going to come from the same side each time. So front loop only, and then front loop only. Always coming from the same side. You don't want to enter from the back side of it. And I like to do mine in sets of 2. And pull it closed. So that's the whip stitch done. We're going to insert that needle right in the center there. Come out any random stitch on the side. Pull it tight so it comes in. And then we're going to tie a knot and re-enter in that same hole, but we don't want to follow the same path. We want to catch some of the stuffing and come out in a different place. Pulling that knot inside, we fluff that hole close up, and then we can cut it, and that end is nice and secure. So now we have our ball and we are ready to sew or glue on our ears and wings. First, we'll add the ears, and our pattern says they go about 4 stitches away from the side of the eye. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So they should line up about with that line, and I know they also line up with the top of the eye. What I'm going to do is actually trim them a little bit so that they have a curved bottom, and they will fit on the head a little better. So there's a little bit more of a curve to it. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And right there. So I will use a sewing pin. I kind of poke through the fabric just to get it sitting in place. So I'll do the same thing with the other ear. Now I'll count 4 stitches on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And put the ear there. And I'll pin it in place. I like to pin everything in place before I glue so that I know, so I can adjust it however I like. I think that's cute. I feel like this ear is a little bit further back, so I might try to move it a little bit more forward so that they're even. Now I turn it over and I can add my wings. It says the wings are span around 7 through 9, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's the body of 7, 8, and 9. So I'm just going to pin it in place. I wouldn't mind to be angled up a little bit. I'm going to pin it in place and then I'm going to turn it over and check it. So to get them angled up, the top corners will be closer together than the bottom corners. So cute. This one is up a little bit higher, so I can move that down just, oops, I'll move that down just a little bit. Until I find the place I like it the best. So now I see that this one is a little bit further out than this one. So I'm going to scooch this wing out a little more so we see close to the same amount of wing on both sides. Let's see if that's a little more balanced. All right, I think that's a little more balanced. I'm going to glue my ears first. I'm using E6000. You can use hot glue or fabric glue if you like. If you're working with kids, I suggest hot glue. This works really well. I like how it dries It goes on easily. 1, 2. I like to make a little bit of a curve at the base also, kind of like a little C shape. And with this A6000, you can move it a little bit and it doesn't set up right away. So give that ear a little bit of shape. What's smart to do is leave the pin in there so you don't have to count every time. And you put your ear back on. So just put a little tiny line on the bottom of the ear there. Give it a little curve. And push it down onto the fabric. So I like that. Now I can glue, like double check my wings. I like where they are. And I'm ready to glue those down also. With the wings, I'm just going to hold them in place and then glue under them without moving them much. You can also sew these on, of course, but glue does make for a simple, easy project after all that crochet. Once the glue dries, it'll be all done. Thank you so much for joining me in making this craft. I hope you enjoyed it.